I was always there for my family, giving them half of my paycheck every month. But then, my mother demanded I cancel my wedding to save the family business, a business my brother had ruined with his reckless spending. When I said no, she slapped me hard across the face, and everything went dark as I stumbled back, hitting the wall behind me. I'm Linda, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the one holding my family together. As the responsible and dependable daughter, I've always been there to provide, to support, to give more of myself than I ever got back. I work as a project manager now, and while I've built a successful career that pays well, it often feels like my life isn't really my own. Since the day I started working full-time, I've given my parents nearly half of my monthly income just to ensure they live comfortably. Frank, my younger brother, has always been the favored child. He's 5 years younger than me, but even as kids, it was always Frank who got the praise, the attention, and the best of everything. I was the practical one, the reliable one who would do what's necessary, while he was constantly being celebrated, showered with affection and admiration. I've given and sacrificed, hoping someday my parents might finally appreciate me, not for what I could give, but for who I am. But the turning point came recently when my parents' demands took on a new, almost unbearable level. Frank had taken over our family business, a modest yet cherished enterprise that my parents had managed for decades. My parents adored the idea of Frank leading the family legacy, and they often talked about how he'd take the business to new heights. But instead, he was driving it into the ground. Poor management, irresponsible spending, and endless mistakes had left the business in financial ruin, and they looked to me, the dependable one, to save it. Just days before my wedding, my mother called me. "Linda, we need you to help us," she said, not a hint of doubt in her voice. "The business is in trouble, and your brother? Well, he needs a little support to get it back on track." I felt my stomach twist. Here I was finally planning something for myself, my future, and my happiness. My wedding was just days away, and my mother was asking me to drain my savings to cover Frank's mistakes. "Mom," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady, "I've always been here to support you, but I can't bail out the business. I have my own future to think about." There was a silence on the other end of the line. Then she spoke, her voice hard and cold. "So you're just going to abandon us? After everything we've done for you, you're going to walk away?" I took a deep breath. "I'm not abandoning anyone, Mom. I'm choosing to prioritize my life for once. I'm getting married, and I can't afford to risk everything I've saved." Her tone grew sharper. "Linda, this isn't just about money. It's about family. Your father and I have always counted on you. Frank needs you, and if you don't step up now, this business could fall apart." My heart raced as I realized just how deep their expectations ran. It was as if my own dreams didn't matter, as if my life existed solely to serve them and support Frank. "I can't, Mom," I said firmly. "I've given you so much. It's time Frank takes responsibility." She hung up without another word, but I could feel the weight of her disappointment through the silence. The next day, I was in my apartment, reviewing the final details for the wedding, when there was a loud knock on my door. I opened it to see my mother standing there, her expression twisted in anger. "What are you doing here?" I asked, shocked to see her. She pushed her way in, barely looking at me as she stepped inside. "How could you?" she spat. "How could you turn your back on us when we need you most?" I took a step back, startled by the anger in her eyes. "Mom, I'm not turning my back on anyone, but I've done everything you asked. I've given you almost half my salary every month, and I'm days away from getting married. I can't throw my future away to fix Frank's mistakes." Her eyes narrowed, and before I could react, she raised her hand and slapped me hard across the face. The shock of it left me speechless. "How dare you talk to me like that?" she shouted. "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? You don't disobey me, Linda. You owe this family everything." My cheek burned from the slap, but the pain that stung deeper was in my heart. This was the moment I realized that I was nothing more to them than a provider. I had given so much of myself, but it was never enough. My sacrifices, my love, my support, it would never matter because I was never the one they truly cared about. I took a shaky breath, fighting back the tears. Mom, I can't keep sacrificing my happiness to cover for everyone else. I love you, but I'm not going to let you control my life any longer. She sneered, crossing her arms. Fine, but don't expect us to be there for you when you come crawling back. You're making a huge mistake, Linda. Don't come running to us when your selfishness catches up to you. Her words were sharp, meant to cut, but for the first time, I didn't feel the sting. Instead, I felt a strange sense of freedom, a weight lifting from my shoulders. I didn't need her approval or validation. This was my life, and I was finally taking control. After my mother stormed out, I stood there in silence, letting the weight of what had just happened settle over me. My cheek still stung from the slap, but it was nothing compared to the realization that had dawned upon me. I had been living my entire life trying to be the perfect daughter, the dependable one, the source of financial and emotional support. But in their eyes, I was only ever a means to an end. That evening, Daniel came over to help finalize some wedding plans. The moment he saw my face, he knew something was wrong. He walked over, gently holding my cheek as he examined the redness. Linda, what happened? I tried to keep my composure, but my voice shook as I explained everything. My mom, she came over, and she slapped me. She demanded that I bail out the family business with my savings, right before our wedding. Daniel's face grew dark with anger, his hands tightening as he pulled me into an embrace. Linda, you don't deserve this. You've done everything for them, and they can't just demand more and more without giving anything in return. I know, I whispered, my voice barely audible, but it's hard. I've spent my whole life trying to make them proud, to be the person they could rely on. And now it feels like they've never seen me as anything more than a source of money and support. Daniel held me, his voice soft but firm. You're not just their support, Linda. You're a person with dreams, and those dreams matter. I don't want you to feel guilty for choosing yourself this time. Those words, simple yet powerful, hit me deeply. For the first time in a long time, I felt like someone truly understood me, like someone saw me for who I was. Daniel wasn't just my partner, he was the one person who had my back unconditionally. We spent the rest of the evening together, going over the plans for our wedding, our future, and for the first time, I felt like I was taking a step forward without looking back. In the days leading up to the wedding, the messages from my mother didn't stop. Texts, voicemails, and even emails poured in, each one more intense than the last. Linda, you're making a huge mistake, one message read. When this wedding falls apart, don't expect us to welcome you back. Family comes first, and you're putting yourself above everyone else. I deleted the messages without responding. The guilt and shame she tried to instill in me no longer had the same effect. I knew that choosing myself wasn't selfish. I was finally giving myself the chance to live a life that wasn't dictated by others. The night before the wedding, my Aunt Julia called. She had heard about the fallout with my parents and wanted to check on me. Linda, she said gently, I know your mother has been saying some harsh things, but I want you to know that you're doing the right thing. You've given more than enough to this family, and you deserve to be happy. I felt a lump in my throat. Aunt Julia had always been one of the few family members who genuinely cared about me, not for what I could give, but for who I was. Thank you, Aunt Julia, I whispered, my voice heavy with emotion. It's just hard letting go of everything I've been doing for them. I keep wondering if I'm making the wrong choice. You're not, she replied. You're just finally choosing yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. Hearing her say that made me feel a little lighter. With her and Daniel's support, I was ready to face my wedding day, knowing that I was stepping into a future I had chosen for myself. The morning of the wedding arrived, and as I prepared, a sense of calm washed over me. The usual anxiety I'd felt around family gatherings was replaced with a quiet determination. This day was mine and Daniel's, a celebration of a new chapter, one that I'd chosen. As I looked in the mirror, dressed in my gown, I felt like I was finally looking at myself, free from the weight of my family's expectations. Daniel's family and a few of my closest friends were there, supportive and eager to share in our joy. Aunt Julia was also there, a comforting presence who'd been a beacon of support in these difficult times. When I walked down the aisle and saw Daniel waiting for me, his face lit up with pride and warmth. It was a look that said, "I see you, Linda, the real you." At that moment, I knew that everything I'd endured, all the heartache and sacrifice, had led me to this moment of pure freedom and joy. We exchanged our vows, promising to be there for each other in ways I'd never experienced before. Daniel spoke about standing by my side, supporting my dreams, and seeing me for who I truly was, not just for what I could give. Those words felt like a balm, healing years of pain from feeling unseen and undervalued. After the ceremony, we moved to a small reception with just a few close friends and family. It was simple and intimate, filled with laughter, love, and genuine happiness. There were no pretenses, no expectations of what I owed to anyone. For the first time, I felt surrounded by people who celebrated me, not for the support I provided, but simply for being myself. As the reception wound down, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't known before. I realized that while my parents and Frank had chosen to distance themselves, I had chosen to start a life that was mine alone, shared only with those who truly valued me. In the days following the wedding, Daniel and I packed up and moved to Austin, eager to start fresh in a city where we could build our life without the shadows of my family's demands. But the transition wasn't without its challenges. Just days after settling into our new apartment, I received yet another message from my mother. It was blunt, harsh, and filled with accusations. "You've abandoned your family. You chose yourself over us. When things go wrong, don't expect us to be there for you." The words stung, but I read them with a newfound resilience. I knew these were the same manipulative tactics I'd faced all my life, the same guilt-laden words meant to pull me back under their control. But this time, I didn't feel the familiar pull. Instead, I felt a quiet strength, a certainty that I'd made the right choice. Daniel noticed the change in me. One night, as we sat on our balcony overlooking the Austin skyline, he wrapped his arm around me. "Linda, I'm proud of you," he said. "I know it hasn't been easy, but you've come so far. You're free from all of that now." His words were simple, but they filled me with a sense of accomplishment I hadn't realized I was craving. For years, I'd been burdened by the pressure to please my family, to be the perfect daughter, the unwavering supporter. But here I was, finally able to breathe, finally able to live for myself. Weeks turned into months, and life with Daniel felt like everything I'd ever hoped for. We talked about our dreams, our plans for the future, and our hopes of starting a family someday. Our life was simple, but it was ours, free from the toxic cycle I'd been trapped in for so long. One afternoon, I received a call from my cousin Adam. He had heard about everything that had happened, and he wanted to reach out. "Linda, I just wanted to say that I'm sorry," he said, his voice filled with genuine remorse. "I don't know why they treated you that way. You've always deserved better." Hearing those words brought a lump to my throat. I hadn't expected an apology, but knowing that someone in my family saw my struggles meant more than I could express. "Thank you, Adam," I replied softly. "It's been hard, but I'm finally in a place where I feel free." Adam's words reminded me that, while I had distanced myself from my parents, there were still people in my family who cared. Over the following months, I began to rebuild relationships with those who had always supported me: my Aunt Julia, Uncle Jacob, a few cousins, and close friends. They were the people who saw me for who I was, not just what I could give. However, my relationship with my parents remained strained. I couldn't forget the years of manipulation, the slap, or the way they had prioritized Frank over me. Every time I thought about reaching out, I remembered the pain, the endless sacrifices, and the fact that I was only valued for what I could provide. Deep down, I knew I couldn't go back to that cycle, and I accepted that my life would be better without their influence. One day, months after the wedding, I received a final message from my mother. It was simple, almost desperate. "I miss you, Linda. Please call me." I stared at the screen, feeling the familiar pull of guilt, but this time, I didn't waver. I looked around at the life Daniel and I had built, the peace and independence I had fought so hard for, and I knew what I had to do. I replied with a brief message, one that was kind yet firm. "I'm happy with the life I built. I can't go back to what it was. I need to move forward." As I pressed send, I felt a wave of closure wash over me. I had finally let go of the past, of the expectations and obligations that had weighed me down for so long. I looked at Daniel, at the life we were building, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly free. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. We love hearing your thoughts, so please drop a comment below and let us know what you think. Your support means everything to us, and it helps us keep bringing you more amazing stories. See you in the next one.